Hello, and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Martin O'Neill. At the January 27th meeting of the Ellisville Town Council, Planning Director Kevin Tullety proposed a tax abatement for Richland senior citizen housing. He said the tax abatement would finance an expansion through tax credits.
They are asking for a tax abatement, which would do two things. One, it would essentially treat properties that was tax exempt to begin with. And two, it would show that the town was offering, I don't have the number right in front of me, but around $750,000 in tax benefits. Now, granted, they never would have paid these taxes anyway, because had they developed normally, it would have been tax exempt.
Council member William Ellis clarified that Richland would receive 100% abatement for 10 years. National Centre for Housing Management associate Carson Hayes said to receive tax credits, properties must convert to a taxable property.
So what's going to happen is the Richland Board as a nonprofit will be the general partner of a taxable entity, and it's a 15-year compliance. But you can only do your tax exemption for 10 years, then we would reapply for the other 5. Then at the end of 15, it'll revert back into being a nonprofit. So we're simply doing this only to be able to get the tax credits, and we've got 100% rental assistance on all the projects we've got now, because those will all be rehabbed. And then on the new project of 50 units, there's going to be 25% rental assistance, but then we're also going to have some of the moderate income that right now ours are set at 50%. A median is our income limit, and we'll be able to go up to 60% of median income with that.
Hayes said resident eligibility standards will broaden. He said a strong demand for senior living is seen throughout the area. Council members unanimously passed the resolution. The Bloomington Utility Service Board approved a Dillman Road expansion for environmental consulting firm Greeley & Hansen. Assistant Director Brad Schrader proposed the request at the January 27th meeting.
And one of the things we did with the electrical systems was early on, an evaluation was done of all our electrical systems at the plant, and they were ranked as far as an order of which needed to be replaced based on age and condition. And then when we went into this project, since it would be split into 2 pieces, we worked from that list, plus we only updated those electrical systems which would be impacted by other work in the project. So a design change came out through the project where we had to now get into a system we hadn't planned on getting into, and it was actually the oldest system, electrical system, the worst ranked in there. So we decided, now's our opportunity to completely upgrade that system.
Schrader said the upgrade amount is $50,000. The next Utility Service Board meeting is February 3rd. At the January 28th Monroe County Council work session, Planning Director Larry Wilson opened a discussion regarding the Monroe County Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance update. He said the County Commissioners approved McBride Dale Clarion zoning firm for ordinance drafting.
We have a preliminary approval of a contract by the Commissioners with McBride Dale Clarion. This is a firm with a great deal of experience in the Midwest and within Indiana. They were involved in updating the City of Bloomington Unified Development Code, which just wrapped up last year. We hope to get the contract finished in about a year. That's what we're hoping. And we'll enter into a new contract as soon as this appropriation is approved.
Councilmember Trent Deckard asked when public comment for the ordinance would begin. Wilson said multiple opportunities for public interaction will be available.
I think first of all, we will have a kickoff meeting with the new consultant, just to go through the process with the public and make sure everybody's aware of what the process is going to be. So that'll be the first step where people will have an opportunity. After that, we will be putting drafts on the website so that people can see it as it's ongoing. And there'll be opportunities to comment throughout the process rather than just waiting for the hearings and having people step up to the microphone. There'll be an opportunity throughout to look.
Wilson said eventually an interactive map will allow zoning information to be viewed about specific parcels of land. He said McBride Dale Clarion has experience with complex zoning terrain.
And the advantage we have with a consultant such as McBride Dale Clarion is they've done these ordinances all over the state and over the country, Clarion especially. I don't know how many hundred ordinances they've done, and we have access to their expertise involved in this process. So if we have a question, well, how do we handle convenience storage or boat storage or a drive-through restaurant? They'll have a variety of different options that have been utilized in other communities that we can look at and refer to.
Wilson said city and county ordinances are similar and compatibility is important. The County Council will further discuss the appropriation in their February 11th meeting. And we'll have more after this.
Let's talk about sex.
What is consent?
And what's not?
Consent is based on choice.
Consent is active, not passive.
Consent is giving permission without feeling pressure.
What is not consent?
Silence.
Passed out.
Intoxicated.
Fear.
Is
It is not consent.
God consent?
Ask.
Sex without consent is a crime. Only yes means yes.
Welcome back to CATSweek. Bloomington Recreation Services Division Director Becky Higgins presented the Farmers Market Food and Beverage Artisan 2020 fees to the Bloomington Board of Park Commissioners on January 28th. She recommended approval of the proposed 10% gross pricing.
Over the past few years, food and beverage artisans have requested to lower the fees they pay to participate and sell at the market. Fees include a weekly stall fee ranging from $10 to $499 per vendor, depending on how many times they sold at market. In addition to that fee, vendors paid 10% of their gross sales to the Parks Department monthly. These revenues were designed to help the farmers market meet their cost recovery goal of 100% as set by the Park Board of Commissioners.
Higgins said farmers market cost recovery goal has not been met in recent years. She said lowering fees would create more difficulties in meeting recovery goals. Food and beverage artisan Eric Shedler said 10% is not reasonable.
I personally paid 13% of the market revenues in 2019, just my business, which was over $12,000 to vend at the market. My family makes less than the median income for a family of four in Monroe County, so those $12,000 are a big burden on the family and also on our small business. In contrast, I believe the most that a farm vendor would be asked to pay in rent for a full season is $648. I have to ask each of you to consider whether that's a reasonable and fair fee.
Food and beverage artisan Katie Meislowick said the charges are equal for growers and prepared food vendors at 7 other comparable markets. She said predictable market budgets are created by flat fees for all vendors. Produce vendor Rachel Byer suggested a percentage-based fee cap amount, while feast owner Jennifer Burt said 10% is not functional.
On a national average, is 3 to 6% of profits is what a restaurant needs to run at to be profitable, to be successful. So 6% would be on the high side if a restaurant's rent. Now I know it isn't exactly rent, it's kind of the same thing, but actually as prepared food vendors, we actually pay rent to you, plus we still have to pay rent for our physical location where the food is being prepared. So not only do we have the 10% fee from you, plus we have the rent we have to pay to actually make everything. So when that equals out, that might come to be 12% of our total sales, which if you, and I even brought some paperwork I pulled from online to show that no restaurant can function at higher than a 10% ratio of rent to profit.
The park commissioners denied the fees for 2020. Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Marquet Winston, recommended approval for the Regional Opportunities Initiative Overview grant application during the Monroe County School Corporation meeting on January 28th. She said the initiative provides additional explorational opportunities for students.
Those requirements took effect this school year, so this year's 9th graders will be held responsible and accountable to these graduation requirements. And there are 3 primary requirements. 1, they earn a diploma. They get a general, a core 40, an academic honors, or a technical honors. 2, employability skills must be demonstrated, and they can do that through project-based learning, service-based learning, or work-based learning. Any of those areas, the student chooses which of those areas is going to be necessary. All of this is about demonstrating our students' preparation for what they're going to do after they graduate and leave us. And then the third requirement for graduation pathways deals with making sure that our students can demonstrate that they are ready for life after high school. In other words, are they post-secondary ready?
Winston said over 33 career pathways are also offered through high schools and Hoosier Hills Academy. She said schools provide real-world skills through project-based learning. Winston said students also have an opportunity to earn college credit through early college high school programs.
And so we're looking at making sure that our students have the opportunity to earn up to 30 college credits while they're still working on their high school diploma. They may potentially also earn an associate's degree, and when they leave high school, they will have already fulfilled their first year of college core course requirements, and they will then enter potentially as a sophomore.
Board member Keith Klein asked about potential partnerships between early college high school and the ASAP program at Ivy Tech Community College.
Is there any way to incorporate aspects of ASAP into what's going on there to the point that not only do your kids fulfill your requirements, and instead of just getting 30 hours, they're getting, an ASAP degree?
Yes, in fact, we've spoken with Principal Willis about that. We've been in ongoing conversation with Ivy Tech, and that is absolutely a component of what we're looking at as we move forward with this plan.
I think it'd be a huge selling point, and I think it's eminently doable.
Yes, it
Right now,
is.
they're starting in the summer, and then come May, they will have completed 2 years of college.
Winston said thousands of dollars have been saved by students completing college credits in high school. The board unanimously approved the grant application. At their January 29th meeting, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners approved a supplemental agreement for the bicentennial pathway. Highway Director Lisa Ridge presented the agreement with the IXOYE Trail and Greenway Engineering Incorporated.
It goes along Old 37 North from Audubon Drive to just below the Firehouse Hill is what you would want to call it. So this is to start the right-of-way plans and the right-of-way engineering for the right-of-way acquisition services, and then we revised some of the plans for the uphill for the scope of work there. So this is to keep that project moving forward.
Ridge said route modifications were made to consider land gradation and culvert construction. Commissioner Lee Jones asked Ridge about trail connectivity.
This piece will not connect to trails. It's actually, we had to really remodify this project about 3 years ago. It was actually a project that was over off of State Road 45 to lead towards Tunnel Road. Once they started some of the design work, it just was not feasible for the grade out there, the route that they would have to have taken. So we worked with NDOT to not lose the project. We did a route modification to follow Old 37 North as trying to get the goal to go from Bloomington city limits basically to have bicycle pedestrian services for alternate transportation to all the way to Lake Lemon.
Ridge said trail construction will be implemented in parts. And we'll have more from CATSweek after this.
Do you know that thousands of children go without school supplies every day? Teachers Warehouse is a 100% volunteer-powered organization. We service the educational and creative needs of students in Monroe, Brown, Greene, Lawrence, and Owen counties by distributing school supplies free to the teachers. Teachers Warehouse is composed of 7 rooms filled with books, pencils, paper, and even tools to motivate students. If it's in a classroom, we'll supply it. To donate new or gently used school supplies or volunteer, give us a call at 812-929-7522 or email us at contact@teacherswarehouse.net.
Welcome back to CATSweek. At the January 29th Bloomington City Council meeting, Councilmember Steve Volan proposed an amended resolution to establish standing committees. He said that standing committees do not replace other boards and commissions.
I've added the phrase to clarify that each committee is not only responsible for oversight of, but acts as a liaison to the various departments or divisions that the committee's purview encompasses. So this is to emphasize the idea that council committees do not replace, they're not boards and commissions, they're not a new layer of, they're not an extra layer of bureaucracy. They're replacing the committee as a whole.
Councilmember Isabel Piedmont Smith had concerns with the use of the word oversight. Volan said the new committees would act as an aid to council process.
This term oversight was a very controversial one. Department heads interpreted it to mean that the council wanted to be in charge of the executive branch departments, which was not the case. I had explained that oversight does mean to supervise, but it also means to inspect or examine. And the ability to inspect or examine the workings of the city is essential to our jobs as council members. That's all I've ever intended whenever I've used the word oversight.
Volan said a whereas clause can add the definition of oversight. Community member Daniel Bingham spoke about the importance of oversight in government.
There's a reason we have multiple branches of government at all levels. Those branches are meant to hold each other in check, to hold each other accountable, to provide oversight of each other. And part of the council's duty is to provide oversight broadly of the executive branch. And I think breaking that work into committees so that it can be done more effectively makes sense. And it makes sense that the executive branch would not necessarily be thrilled about that and might push back at it, because nobody loves being held accountable. It's not fun for any of us, but it's really important. It's really important that we hold ourselves accountable, and it's really important that we hold each other accountable.
Community member Peter Dorfman expressed concern that time would not allow for efficient discussion in standing committee meetings. He said a decision should involve the public when deciding which controversial topic should be heard by the committee as a whole. County Attorney Daniel Sherman said public comment is not taking on a motion to refer.
Right now, I was talking to some people before the meeting. There is no debate upon introduction. You do refer at that point. In the past, we have not opened up referral to public comment. You could do that, but currently we don't.
Volan said amendments could be made to allow public comment. Proposal was postponed for further hearing until February 19th. Also on January 29th, the Bloomington City Council Land Use Committee discussed Curry Urban Properties' approximately 3-acre preliminary plan and district ordinance. Development Services Manager Jackie Scanlon said that at this stage a traffic study was not necessary. City Engineer Neil Copper explained.
As Jackie mentioned, a traffic impact study will be required at the plan development stage. We did not require one up until this point because we didn't think it was likely that there would be traffic impacts that would negatively affect the area to an extent that it would make the PUD infeasible.
Copper said that fluctuation in traffic speeds is not a concern. Scanlon said the comprehensive plan also includes a bike path. Developer Tyler Curry addressed the proposal's greenhouse gas reduction plans.
I think that one way to mitigate the carbon footprint is to agree to do a white roof. That and I think that's the biggest impact that we can have on the carbon footprint, because we're not doing a LEED building and we've not got as far as the exact materials to be used on all the building. We would try and use wood where we could use wood because wood reduces carbon footprint. But I think that the biggest impact we can make is by using a white roof.
Curry said the building location encourages sustainable transportation. Councilmember Steve Volan questioned Curry about project-related road closures.
Speaking from experience, I'm going to say yes, especially as the building gets vertical. Offloading of materials. I'm sure there'll be a crane on site, but just offloading of materials as things start to get vertical and supplies start to come in, I can see that we would need to close down part of the street for a period of time, We may elect then to maybe say, okay, well then Longview is the best street to do that on, or the extension of 7th Street versus Pete Ellis Drive at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Well, when you have to say close either Longview or Pete Ellis, can you force your contractor to to put up concrete barriers to create a sidewalk if they close the sidewalk?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that might even be part of a building code.
The committee voted to continue development discussion to their next meeting. And that's all for CATSweek. Thanks for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Martin O'Neill.